Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Let's Do Video Boardroom. I'm here with old friend David Danto. David, could you please introduce yourself to our viewers for the one person out there who might not know you?
I don't know that I can anymore after all these days. I've come to the point where when I fill out those forms about what I do for a living, I put down the word gadfly, for anybody who remembers that from literature. But I'm David Danto. I work for HP Poly as the director of UC strategy and research. I'm also with a number of industry nonprofits, and I'm just the guy who likes to see all boats rise with the tide in the collaboration industry.
Well, we need to rise rise some boats. I usually try to have a positive show here. This is going to be a little bit of a downer because you shared with me this report from HP Poly. You guys were doing research to help your customers and yourselves better understand the reality of our new hybrid world and workers are not happy. This is not a happy report. We don't have good news here. What within it was like 28% or 30 is a low number. Or
27. Yeah, this is interesting. The genesis of this is over the course of the last year, we looked at all of the hype and buzz and tug of war and crazy stuff that you're seeing online about where to work. I want to work remotely. I want to be in the office. I want to work from home and all the rest of that. And, we realized it's got to be a bigger issue than that. It's not about where you work. It's about the why of work. So we developed this work relationship index. You can get it yourself. You can download it. It's hp.com/WRI for work relationship index. And it was research done with more than 15,000 global participants in 12 countries, 12 regions across the world. And the results were not really very encouraging. The results were that only 27% of those people that responded feel like they have got a good relationship with work. And there was some amazing facts to come out of that research as well. Some of them is that it's hurting everybody, in that employers are losing out because of this poor relationship, because they're losing productivity and they're losing dedication. Employees are losing out because it's affecting their well-being. Their physical health, their mental health. They don't eat right. They don't exercise. They're not as good at parents, or not as good in their personal relationships. This is hurting everybody. And a few of the things came out loud and clear as we did this research that were just shocking. One of the keys was that it doesn't take much to go from that 27% that thinks they have a good relationship, just as you start to ease into the next one saying, I think I have a good relationship, the fall off is double of people that are considering leaving their work as soon as they get a chance to get another position, which
yeah,
is really, really frightening.
frightening, but not surprising. In the old days, if you were kind of happy at work, my boss isn't a complete monster. I'm keeping this job. I'm showing up every day. I have a job. I'm happy. Now people they expect to be happy at work, and it's like, I'm not completely fulfilled at work. They'll leave for completely that. If in the 1980s, if someone said, I'm going to leave work because I'm not completely fulfilled, they'd say, are you on drugs? That's not the way we think back then. But
Yeah, and that's another thing that came out of this, is that over the last 2 to 3 years, obviously we survived the pandemic and all the horrors that went along with that. It certainly opened people's eyes to what's important in life, partially having to deal with all the tragedy in their lives, partially in many cases experiencing remote work and a better work-life balance. The interesting thing was that, in these interviews we spoke with, and research, we spoke with knowledge workers, we spoke with IT decision makers, and we spoke with CEOs and leaders, and they all agree that this has been a fundamental change, and they expect more from their relationship with work going forward, and now is the time to change. So, and in many cases, they think the change is on them, whether the individual employee thinks that they're responsible for the change, or the leader thinks that they're responsible for the needed change. The very revealing statistics across all of these areas.
what I think is crucial is the fact that we recognize that there's a need to change. The fact that we recognize that it's bad for the employers. The workers are less productive, less work, make less money. I mean, that's what this whole thing's supposed to be about. And it's bad for the workers, for their physical and mental well-being. It's not just like, I don't like my job. It's you can't enjoy your weekends. You're not happy. You're going to the doctor more. I mean, literally, it's a big problem. And we didn't used to see it as a problem. Again, going back to when I was a kid, I don't like my work. You're not supposed to like work. Work is work. You're supposed to like play. No, now we're supposed to feel fulfilled at work, and that leads to what I think was for me the most interesting thing about most not shocking, but the most what affected me was, oh my god, this is a real problem. We need to do something about it. But the solution I would have thought was throw more money at the workers. Take these billionaire company owners and have them throw more. That's not part of it at all. That's and you've identified these factors that would make people feel more happy and satisfied with work, and it's not. I mean, I still think people wouldn't mind getting more money, but that's not what the report showed. So how do we fix the problem?
Well, I'll list for you what we identified as 6 drivers to create a better, a more healthy relationship with work. But the interesting thing to your point is that in the survey, people said they would be willing to take less money to get more of these other pieces that they're looking for at work. And we went on and quantified that by, age, not just, Gen Z and millennial. Everybody would be willing to say, look, I'd be willing to take a pay cut in order to get something a little bit more out of my work. Now, I don't necessarily know that, anybody who answers a survey saying they'll be willing to take a pay cut is really willing to go to their boss and say, give me less money. But I think it's more a case that if they're looking for work, and they're trying to decide what's important, they're going to weigh some of these factors as equally, if not more so, than compensation. And it'll be one of the factors in their decision. So part of it is fulfillment. We are now living in a world where people want to feel fulfilled by what they do. I've always been a believer in the Confucius quote that if you find something that you love, you never work a day in your life. And there are more people that really want to feel like what they're doing either is fulfilling them personally or is just doing a good mission for the world, for the economy, for the planet. And that means a lot. Leadership is the second piece of this, and that we're expecting leaders to be honest, to be human beings, to show some vulnerability, to make some mistakes, to demonstrate behaviors that we want to see in people that we like and admire. So that's part of it. Part of it is a concept of people centricity, where we want organizations to be looking at their people and understanding that communicating emotions is healthy and good, and caring about the well-being of your employees and about the planet and everything is also very important. Skills did play a big part in this. You'd be surprised how many people, if you look into the report, don't feel comfortable either with their hard skills, around how to use the technology they've been given and the best way to operate, and soft skills, how to communicate, how to explain things to people. People don't feel like they've been given what they need in order to be able to show those skills. And tools was also a very big piece of this, where most employees want to say in it. They don't want to be told, here's your tool today, and this is what you use, and we've picked it for you, so go away and stop bothering me. They want to understand that this is what I need to do in my job. I want to explain this to you. I want to understand what the choices are, and I want to have some input into the decision. And I want the tools that I use when I'm in the office to be as good as the tools that I use when I'm at home, to be as good as the tools when I'm on the road. And that really hasn't existed. Some companies have come up with stipends. Some companies have bought equipment. Some companies have said, I don't care what you have in your house. And that's been an issue. And then, one of the bigger issues, which isn't as big as we make it out to be, again, if you read the online articles, but is pretty big, is this concept around workspace. Is how do you make workspaces places where people want to go that earn the commute, as we've talked about before, that are seamless, that I can start a document at home, that I can start a meeting at home, I can continue it in the car, and or on the train, and I can pick it right back up in the office, where all those connections are seamless. And in measuring those 6 things, we've sort of created a grid that you'll be able to see in the research, that we're going to be measuring people on an annual basis if we're making any improvements here. It's not just about more gear. It's about really fixing these fundamental human nature problems that are starting to become a significant issue in the workplace.
The way I hear that, it's a good news, bad news thing for the industry. Well, for not the industry, for all industries, for bosses, basically, for the people making decisions. The good news is these 6 principles will solve the problem without. What we don't want to do is throw money. We don't want to give everyone raises. We don't want to give everyone a bonus. I mean, I'm for that, but I understand that that's not the conventional wisdom of what we want to do. This isn't about spending money. That's the good news. The bad news is this is major cultural change at the office. This is changing the way we think about work. This is the thing to think about our employees, think about our team. So it's a big change. It's not just flipping a switch, but it's all good changes. None of this is bad stuff. None of this is, oh, if we want to be more profitable, we need to, we need to be meaner to our workers. Oh, that's a hard decision. No, these are easy decisions. Make things better for the workers, and they're happier and more profitable. So,
Well, your friend and mine, Tim Banting, pointed out in a very detailed interview I had with him a couple of weeks ago that we haven't fundamentally changed the concept of the office in over a century. This idea that we would all go where the tools are available and where all the people are, and we're overseeing the factory floor or coordinating this command and control. We've been making little offshoots from it, make it more dense, make it more open, make it more modular, make it more this. But honestly, we haven't really done any significant thinking about, is this the most productive way to be ever? And now this pandemic that we went through kind of gave us the opportunity to step back and look, you know what? There are better ways to be here. And maybe it's not about throwing money, as you point out, to make people happier because they think they're being better compensated. Maybe it's about how it'll save companies money by not having to throw money, by being able to make a better working environment where employees feel valued. And that's a cost saving in and of itself, as well as being better for the company and better for the employee. So some really interesting data. I definitely recommend everybody to take a look at it and pay heed to some of the findings here, that the opportunity to improve isn't a cost, it's a strategy thing. And I would hope people really pay attention to it and develop some strategies around trying to improve in these 6 areas.
yeah, I'm gonna put the link down in the description, but I definitely recommend everyone read this report. And I appreciate HP Poly for producing. You guys are supposed to be selling me cameras and headsets and stuff. Well, you're making reports to help make the world a better place now. What's going on here?
Well, we still want you to buy HP and Poly gear because it happens to be the best that's on the market, and I can certainly talk for hours about that. But to be serious about your point, we're not selling anything with this report. If you go to the link, you can download the report. There isn't even a paywall. There isn't even an email address required. Anybody can download the report. It's free. We want to make this information available because we want people to really, start to get with the times and understand that the opportunity to make these changes is now. And it's urgent. And hopefully we will do the survey again next year and see that the number of companies have improved, and hopefully the number goes up from 27%.
It's it just seems like a funny thing to me that we're faced with this harsh reality that if we make work a little bit nicer for people um, in these 6 ways, and make them feel valued and respected, that everyone makes a lot more money and is a lot happier and healthier. um, usually there's a downside, usually the downside in life, but I'm not seeing it here.
Well, I've been talking about that even before this report came out for years and years, which is, the idea that you really want to make your work experience be something that people like, and you want to play toward people's strengths. And I think that that's really, I've always talked about the idea that I would rather work for a great manager at an unknown company than work for a great company with a manager that I don't respect. That relationship that you have with the person that you're working for is one of the most important pieces here. And I think this falls in perfectly with those theories that I've been living with over the years, which is, treat people like human beings and respect them, and you'll get more out of them.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best trends that I've seen in the last few decades is just the use of the word team. And that no one used to refer to people they worked with as their team. Football was a team. It was colleagues, employees, and bosses. I'm with my employees. I'm with my boss. Now people are working with their teams, and I think that's a better way to live.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to be an individual contributor, which I am now, and to be a manager and a leader of between 50 and 100 people at any given time. And I've always felt like the more you give the people who work for you the freedom to be human beings and to shine, the more you look good. You don't need to tell them what to do. You need to hire people smarter than you and get out of the way. Again, I think all these results are very interesting, and I'm hoping that it'll be one of the linchpins to turn the tide around what we're experiencing as this future of work that we're all trying to figure out.
Well, that's awesome because we're ending now on such a positive note. That was so good. We started this thing off, and I was all doom and gloom. We have this report. The world is ending. This is so sad. But it turns out the solution is what we wanted all along. So okay, so I'm feeling much better about things now. Dave, thanks so much for being here. Any if people want to reach you or learn more, I'll put some links down in the description.
Yeah, just ping me at the LinkedIn. I'm the only David. I'm one of only two David Dantos in the world. The other one's a cousin of mine living in Canada. So if it's an educator in Canada, it's not me. But otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn. And you can always reach out to me at my HP email, and definitely get the report at hp.com/WRI.
Thanks so much for being here, and thanks everyone for watching.